Let's fix the Kobra 3. Hey, welcome back to the Fab Lab. I'm David Gortz, and for those of you who have been wondering why there has been no further news about the Kobra 3, including no review, it's because it doesn't work. I had no end of problems trying to get it to print anything. I finally contacted Anycubic, and they sent me a new motherboard. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to do our level best to replace the motherboard and hopefully get it working. So stay tuned. Here we go. All right, so the first thing I have to do, and you're just going to have to follow along, and I've got cameras to point, and I've got bins to store parts in if I need, and I have some tools over here, is I have to flip the entire thing on its back and take its guts out. And I got to tell you, that makes me a little nervous after all the work we've put into this thing, and it's going to lean on cables. It doesn't seem like the safest proposition in the world, but we're going to try it. So here we go.
This program is sponsored in part by the Advanced Geekery Weekly newsletter. Want exclusive access to my latest ZDNet articles, behind-the-scenes updates on my projects, and must-watch YouTube videos curated just for you? How about fascinating reads from around the web and a chance to have your own project spotlighted? It's all in the newsletter. And the best part, subscribing is absolutely free. Don't wait, click the link below to get your weekly issue and make it awesome.
Actually, the first thing I'm going to do is unplug it. Apparently, it's plugged in. Not always a good idea to work on electronics while it's plugged in. Not thrilled with this prospect. Okay, the plate is sliding to the back. It's all leaning on parts that should never be leaned on. But there we go. Okay, it is up. Alright, so Anycubic did provide a nice video, which I did watch. And the first step is to take this bottom piece off, which I think is done with these. Yep. All right, get these out of there. Well, this thing's come loose. Yeah, it's still attached. All right. It's funny you can't actually see what you're doing. All right, let's try it now. There we go. Now I'm definitely in the screw. Do it for a while longer. Alright, now let's see if we can push this. Yeah, it's supposed to come loose at this point, and the screw has been unscrewed, so let's see about persuading it a teensy bit, shall we? Yeah, apparently persuasion is what was needed. It's weird because when I went to college and decided to become an engineer, I really loved tinkering. But after a bunch of years of fixing stuff that I had no intention of having to fix, there's the screws. There, whoops, okay, so there's a cable, yeah, you can see that, which goes here. It is glued in there with something. Yeah, it's kind of glued and taped in there. See the gunk? There you go. See the gunk? And that's what was holding it in. All right. So next up, Let's take a quick hand tour of this thing. This is the motherboard. And another thing is I gotta take these screws out. Let's use the screwdriver to point. I gotta take these screws out. Every one of these connectors, including this little nasty one over here, swap it for the other motherboard, and do the same on the way back. So let's attempt that. So let's start with this cable up here. This is tight. So I'm loosening it. So I'm loosening it up here. Give myself a little bit of margin. And then hopefully it will come. There we go. Okay, that's loose. You can see that where the two cables were, there, the top one says fan 2. So when I put back the back, I'll be putting the fan here. Okay. Next we have these three at the bottom, all of which are connected by red goo. These wires are very tight, so there's not a lot of room to like wobble those case back and forth to get them out. You see me sticking a screwdriver in here. This is part of why you want to unplug everything. Also, yeah, the connectors are actually gooed to their sockets. So, in the same way that the other one didn't want to come loose because it was gooed, this one also is gooed. Then we have this thing over here, which I'm going to try to do next. Anycubic's video did not show this being as annoyingly difficult. Okay, then we have one of these ribbon things up here, up there. I am attempting to pull this cable loose, from which there's very little play. Alright, so I am going to resort once again to screwdrivering my way around this thing. I got one, nope, I only have one finger on the top. And this is going to be fun to put back. Okay, it's out. And then we have these 4 screws. Now the thing to notice, one thing I've noticed, is that this is red and this is kind of orange. So black and black should be pretty much the same because they're ground, or they should be ground, one would hope. And then red and then orange. So we're going to go black, red, black, orange when we put it back. Try to remember that for me. If I ask you guys when I'm doing this, it's black, red, black, orange. Unscrew and unscrew. Okay. Black, red. Let's give it a little bit more screwing, unscrewing. Orange and black. Okay, so let's just store them like that. Alright, so as far as I can tell, take a look with me, okay? See if you see any connectors in there that are still attached. I don't. So I'm going to try taking out the screws. Oh, wait a minute. There's something. There's like a ground connector. See this screw? There's like a ground connector on there. Okay. Well, let's see what we get. Well, let's try the 2 again. Yeah, it goes in. It's a 2. It just wasn't super cooperative. This is going to be fun to put back. Okay, 1 screw. Let's get the one that's got the payload. There's the little payload that was on top underneath the screw. So we're going to have to reground that back in after we get all the other stuff out. Okay, there's also, that's special. Okay, check this out. This little bad boy right here, which, let's see if it'll come out. I didn't even see that. Oh, that comes off. Let's see if that's on the new motherboard first before I try to take it off. It is a Wi-Fi antenna. And as you can see, it doesn't, the reason I can't get it to slide off is because it doesn't slide off. It pops off. Pop that bad boy off. There we go. All right. Now let's continue to remove the motherboard. And so we should be able to extract. And there we go. Oops, come on. That is it. There. That's the new motherboard, the old motherboard. So I want to put the old motherboard completely out of the way. And now it's time to put the new motherboard back in. And let's try to do close to the process we did before, which is putting the screws in first. So let's set this thing. Looks like I got to come in from the top because these connector thingies look like they need to push in here, which is kind of unfortunate because there's a ton of wires on the other side, but get all these wires out, they're lined up, and then all of these connectors, let's try to scoop them out from behind. And the only thing, well, before I do that, let's try to get that payload out of there, that grounding cable, because it has to go on top. So, alright. So it has to go on top. So I'm going to kind of hold that off to the side. And then try to sneak this up here. And for those of you concerned about grounding and shocks and not touching the circuit board, me too. Very much me too. Alright. Well, I think we're sort of in, sort of. What do you think? Do you think we're kind of in? Alright, so let's take our first step, try to get the first screw in there. It's always good if you can get one screw in. Which I'm not doing yet. Oh, now I am. Okay. Let's get the next top screw in. I'm going to try an old trick, which is to take another Allen wrench and just fish it in there and see if you can find the screw hole. There we go. Okay, so that looks like it's there. Yeah, that one's biting too. Good. Now let's see if I can figure out where... Oh man, the payload's underneath. Huh. That, grounding connector is under everything. So I'm now going to try to pull all these wires out. And I can do that so I can free the grounding connector and pull it to the top. Because I'd rather not unscrew the... There we go. Okay, almost. Oh, there we go. Okay, success. All right, let me get that last screw in, and then I'll worry about putting all the cables back in their holders. So I think I was saying that many people think that, you know, reviewers get free printers. And the thing is, the first one was very exciting. But this is a job. I would rather be playing with my puppy right now than repairing printer I'm supposed to pronounce judgment on. But, okay, so as you can see, that grounding connector is back where it's supposed to go. Okay, so let's start next with this Wi-Fi connection up here. Let's see if I can get that in. That was the next piece of it. Should go in fairly easily, he says foolishly. These are like microscopically small. You don't want to break them, but you want to get them to attach. They're not enjoying. It's probably a David theme, not enjoying. All right. Yeah, it's on. Okay. The Wi-Fi connector is on. All right. So next up, do the next thing I dread, which is this ribbon cable. Which has gone and tucked itself under the motherboard. But as you can see, the ribbon cable is next, and the Wi-Fi connector is back where it belongs. So let's try the ribbon cable. All I gotta do is tuck it into its little tiny nook and close the gate. Easier said than done, because there's... Oh, this is the same ribbon cable that I fought with when trying to put the control pad on. I can give myself some, let me show you, I can give myself a little bit more slack because I can tilt this down, which gives some slack here, which gives me some slack there. Did not think about before, that's cool. Okay, so I got a little bit more slack. I'm still going through their little holder thing. They've got these plastic guides, if you can see, right next to the cable. And so it prevents you from putting your finger in there. Which, thank you, designers. Let's see, I got it in just about the right spot. But I don't have any leverage to grip it to shove it in. And, yeah, all right. Tell you what, next time I make them, just send me another printer. So I don't have to do this, but we do this for content. We do this because we love you folks. And if this happened to you, and it might because it came DOA, if it happens to you, you're probably not going to have the same leverage I do. So you should know what you're facing, and what you're facing is the idiocy of ribbon cables in a modern era. All right, one last try. 1, 2, 3. Come on. In. Is it in? No, it's not in. So not enjoying this. All right. Very, very concerned I'm going to break this thing in the process. Well, I might have gotten it. I might. The bottom piece looks like where it's supposed to be. The top piece does not. Top piece is definitely not where it's supposed to be. Okay. Alright, let's try a different approach. Let's try getting the top piece in. This is nigh on impossible. Alright, so what I just did is I just pulled it out of this idiot plastic guide over here, which has been getting in the way, and now I have a little bit more flex. Again, I have no idea when I put this thing back together whether it'll work, because I've had to really manhandle the crap out of this thing. But there it is, now it's back where it belongs. They just provided absolutely no clearance. Alright. That's back where it belongs. Alright. So, let's see what else I got. This one's an easy one. The little black one here should be pretty easy. We'll just pop it back in where it goes. That one's fairly easy. So just put this one, this one back in. I want to do these three because they're also fairly easy. They don't appear to be in the way of much. They're also slightly different sizes, so I'm fairly certain I'm doing it right. That is putting the right connector in the right slot. We'll do that in a minute. All right, so remember we were orange, black, and then red, black. So let's do, we got these two. Here's what the back side of those connectors look like. Okay, so maybe it's not open enough to screw in. All right, let's open these wide open. Maybe when they shipped the motherboard to me, they did not open the pod bay doors. As I assumed they did, right? So, yeah, okay, black is in. Let's see if it secures. Yep, that was it. The connectors are towards, these connectors are towards the top, not the bottom, and you have to really loosen them up before you can put them in with the new piece. All right. You really don't want those getting loose because they're your power supply. That would be bad news. This black connector goes up there. And this last little connector here, which remember we said was fan on the top and some other thing on the bottom. So we're going to put that in the bottom because we need to reserve the other piece for the fan. All right. Now, as far as I can tell, everything's back in the right spot, but let's have you guys take a look just to make sure. And if they're not in the right spot, let me know what you think. Put them in the comments. All right, so I think we have replaced the motherboard. Let's put the fan housing back on. All right, the fan is back in. So this also is a snap-in housing, which is why it was hard to come out. See the snaps here? And over here. And the same as on the back. That's part of why that was difficult to come out. They didn't tell me that. They just said pull it out. The YouTube video didn't say anything about prying the crap out of these things. All right, that's... Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have replaced the motherboard. Next step is to put the machine back down and test it. Okay. Here's where we stand. The motherboard has been replaced. I still have to power it up and do some slicing, see if the slicer can talk to the printer, see if the printer will actually print. I will be back before this video ends to tell you whether or not it in fact worked. And then I will be back at a different time with a review once I've had some time to play with it. So stay tuned. I will see you either later today or in a second after this jump cut to me coming back. Okay, sound quality might not be that good, but it's working. I grabbed some dinner after putting it together and did a test with the app and downloaded from the app. And then this is using the original slicer. I did a remote print and it's printing. That's it for now. I mean, that was what it couldn't do for all that time. So it's working. And I'll be back with more details in another video, but it's working. The motherboard replacement solved the problem. So my name is David Goworks for Advanced Geekery. Go out there and fix something awesome.